Kekkei Genkai are powerful jutsu that can only be performed by people of a certain bloodline or under very certain circumstances. During his time experimenting, Orochimaru became insanely obsessed with Kekkei Genkai and began extensively studying it. Out of all Kekkei Genkai, his focus was on the Sharingan, though he did have interest in other Kekkei Genkai as well. And so, in the spirit of Orochimaru, I thought, why don't we just explain all of the Kekkei Genkai? And so, here we are. But before we get into it, welcome to the Amagi. Only 25% of our viewers are subscribed to our channel. If you enjoy our content and want to help support us, be sure to click that like and subscribe button. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. Boil release. Boil release is what happens when a user mixes fire and water natures together. It's made by bringing the user's chakra up to boiling point. By doing this, an intense steam can be formed. This Kekkei Genkai originated in Kirigakure, and among its users are Mei Terumi, as well as the Five Tails, Kokuo. Byakugan. The Byakugan is the personal Kekkei Genkai of the Hyuga clan, who guard their dojutsu jealously. Along with this dojutsu, they develop the usage of the Gentle Fist, a line of techniques that makes use of the user's ability to control chakra from any tenketsu on their body as opposed to just their hands and feet. The Byakugan is a dojutsu that allows the user to see vast distances and allows them to see various other points on the electromagnetic spectrum, including infrared and X-ray, the latter of which allows them to see into their enemies and examine not only their chakra pathway system, but also each individual tenketsu. Besides this, the Byakugan has the ability to see 360 degrees around the user in a fisheye lens sort of fashion. The only blind spot in the Byakugan is above the first thoracic vertebra. This dojutsu is one that is inherited purely from the Otsutsuki clan, with various members of the Hyuga having different distances they can see. But none can see as well as Kaguya could, whose Byakugan was able to see everything happening on over half of the globe. Kaguya also displayed the ability to see into people's minds and hearts. According to the Moon Clan, Hamura began taking the Byakugan out of every generation of Otsutsuki born on the planet to form the Tenseigan vessel, which had the power to protect the world, but instead was used when the Moon Clan went to war against itself. They used the power of this vessel to wipe themselves out entirely except for Toneri, who would later evolve his Byakugan to a dojutsu of the same name. Crystal Release. Presumably formed with some combination of Earth Release and another nature, Crystal Release allows the user to form crystals that can be used to incapacitate enemies, form armor for oneself, or be used as a weapon. This Kekkei Genkai is most famously utilized and only ever utilized by Guren. This release can crystallize its enemies down to each individual cell, meaning that should the crystal be shattered, so too will the person inside. It's strong against other nature releases that utilize mass to make it up, such as earth, wood, and water. However, it's weak to non-physical releases, such as fire and in particular lightning. The latter's effect on it is likely due to a type advantage that lightning has over earth release. Dark Release. Dark Release is a Kekkei Genkai used by Hiroko. It was stolen from an unknown shinobi, likely before the events of the Will of Fire movie. During the course of the movie, it was used to absorb, manipulate, and release chakra that was stolen from another in a manner not too unlike the technique that Momoshiki utilizes with the Rinnegan in his hand. This Kekkei Genkai, much like Momoshiki's Rinnegan, can only be used in the hand, and is marked by two overlapping diamond shapes. I can't help but relate it to Boruto's Karma Seal due to how similar they are. This means that while unconfirmed, this Kekkei Genkai could be used by both Momoshiki and Boruto, theoretically. Another thing unknown about this Kekkei Genkai is what releases make it up. Explosion Release. This technique was created in Iwagakure and is considered to be a mixture of earth and lightning release. It was famously used by Iwagakure's Explosion Corps and would later become the gimmick of the Akatsuki member Deidara. To use this technique, Deidara stole a forbidden jutsu that allowed him to develop 3 extra mouths, one on each hand and one over his heart. With these mouths, he can knead his chakra into explosive clay, often named after the same type of plastic explosives used in real life, such as C4. He actually has techniques for the clay based on C4 and lower numbers all the way to 0, which is when he feeds the mouth over his heart this explosive clay. This is a technique that results in the death of the user, though the explosion is fantastic. Deidara considered it to be the greatest piece of art he ever made. Ibori Clan Kekkei Genkai. The Ibori clan originated this technique, though I'm sure they wish they never had. The Ibori clan possessed the unique ability to transform their body into a smoke-like mist, which seems like a wonderful technique for a ninja, right? Well, you'd be correct, except that when they do this, a rogue gust of wind can blow through and ensure that their body will never manifest again, essentially killing them. In fact, very few of the Ibori clans still exist. Why? Well, the Ibori clan, besides getting left with the world's most useless Kekkei Genkai, got even worse luck when it's discovered that they can't even control when they turn to smoke, meaning any time you go outside on a windy day is a gamble. In hopes of fixing this though, they turned to Orochimaru, as if their luck couldn't get any worse. Orochimaru studied them for a while and hoped to recreate their abilities. Later on, he killed them all. Tragic. Ice Release. Ice Release was first displayed by Haku, who possessed the unique ability to mix water release with wind release. In doing so, he managed to create ice crystals, snow, and the like. However, despite how low level this Kekkei Genkai is, to the point that even Sasuke, who didn't have it, could simulate it by simply switching between water and wind simultaneously, Haku was still targeted for his Kekkei Genkai by the people of Kiri. His own father, upon discovering his son's power, killed Haku's mother and then attempted to kill Haku too, who only survived by killing his father. Later on, he displays the ability to use demonic mirroring ice crystals, by far his most famous technique. This ability allows its user to form a bunch of mirrors that can be arranged in a dome shape. The user can hide in these mirrors and attack from within. Jogan. The Jogan is a dojutsu that appears to be connected to the Byakugan. How it is awakened is unknown, although it is believed to be rare even among the Otsutsuki. The dojutsu seems to only be awakened in a human if an Otsutsuki somehow affects the user, as it is insinuated that Boruto's Jogan may have been the result of something Toneri Otsutsuki had done, if I remember correctly. Furthermore, if that's retconned later, its awakening could be something to do with being the bearer of an Otsutsuki's karma seal. Among its abilities are abilities very similar to the Byakugan in that it can see chakra pathway systems. It also possesses the ability to see negative energy and even predict where Otsutsuki portals will open. Its true nature is still a mystery, but it's believed to have a greater role sometime later in Two Blue Vortex. Jugo Clan Kekkei Genkai. The Kekkei Genkai of the clan from which Jugo descends appears to possess the ability to naturally intake Senjutsu chakra. This means the form that they take is a form of sage transformation. Their body secretes a fluid that is sensitive to nature chakra, which allows them to transform parts or all of their bodies into various different forms. They possess incredible healing powers, not only for themselves, but others. They can graft their own flesh to the wounds of a comrade, though doing so causes a loss of mass, which will reduce the user into a state similar to a child. Possessing great body manipulation, they can do many things, from transforming their hand into a piston-like structure to even turning their whole body into a massive chakra cannon. But this power comes with a tremendous downside. Despite the utility of this ability, the members of this clan have no ability to control their emotions, and will essentially turn into horror movie villains the moment they hit a manic rage. Despite Jugo's tender personality, he laughs like a madman when in the middle of one of those rages, and his violence is, well, monstrous. He killed a whole village by accident one time. His Kekkei Genkai is one of many Orochimaru was studying. Jugo's Kekkei Genkai is the father of all of Orochimaru's curse marks in the Heaven and Earth line. Ketsuryugan. The Ketsuryugan is a special dojutsu manifested by members of the Chinoike clan. Its English translation means Blood Dragon Eye, though the same can be spelled with a different kanji to mean Blood Flow Eye, and there's good reason for this. You see, this dojutsu infers many special abilities, among which is iron manipulation. And if you didn't know, the way that oxygen travels through blood is through large quantities of iron. This is why blood smells and tastes like pennies. The Ketsuryugan, like the Sharingan, has the ability to cast genjutsu, which it can use to turn people into zombie-like drones. Furthermore, the chakra created by users of this dojutsu is toxic and can be used to basically make a bomb out of people. When one infected by a Chinoike is cut or begins to bleed, the chakra begins to react, transforming the victim's unstable body into a big black mass that proceeds to explode. It's quite horrific actually. It's why this dojutsu is considered on par with the 3 great dojutsu. Kokugan. The Kokugan was only ever displayed in 2 individuals so far. That being Ishiki Otsutsuki and later in his ex-vessel Kawaki. This dojutsu offers 2 unique abilities. One is Sukune Hikona, which allows the user to shrink anything in their line of sight, including themselves, down to a microscopic level. Secondarily, they possess the Daikokuten, which allows them to teleport themselves or anything they look at to a dimension that possesses no time. In most cases, this technique is used to store items and weapons, though people can also be stored there. Whether the Daikokuten dimension Kawaki uses and the one Ishiki uses is the same is unknown. Theoretically, considering that Code possesses the ability to manifest his white karma seal, which is considered a failed karma seal formed from Ishiki, it should be possible for Code to awaken a Kokugan, though this has yet to be proven. Kurama clan technique. This is actually a very rare Kekkei Genkai, even among the Kurama clan. This Kekkei Genkai is based purely in yin release and is simply the most overpowered genjutsu ability possible. This ability ensures that once every few generations, a prodigy with genjutsu is born with power so overwhelming that even without proper training, their ability to cast genjutsu is unmatched. The full power of this ability seems to create a second personality within the user that takes physical form in the user's body, transforming them into a Hanya-like demoness. The genjutsu is so powerful that when one is cast under it, the brain is forced to experience a death so vivid that it confuses the body, to the point where the body begins to display the same wounds received in the illusion, effectively killing the enemy with genjutsu alone. This is the Kurama clan's equivalent to Freddy Krueger. Lava Release. Lava Release is a Kekkei Genkai utilized by the shinobi of Iwagakure, and is most famously the Kekkei Genkai of Son Goku, the Four Tails. With it, the user can generate lava, magma balls, rubber, and even ash. Besides this, Son Goku allows its user to activate a lava release chakra mode, being one of the few tailed beasts that can also bestow upon its Jinchuriki a chakra mode. Magnet Release. This Kekkei Genkai originated in Sunagakure and was the personal Kekkei Genkai of Gaara, his father, and the Kazekage before Rasa, meaning it was used by 3 consecutive Kazekage. It is also the Kekkei Genkai of Shukaku, the One Tail. This Kekkei Genkai was passed down to Gaara's adopted son as well, Shinki, and was used by the Shinju, Ryu. This allows the user to control magnetic shards that are often mixed into sand. This gives the user the appearance that they're manipulating sand. Rasa, the 4th Kazekage, tended to utilize gold dust as opposed to other kinds of metals. Not only was it pretty, it also looked like sand and was fairly powerful too, even allowing Rasa to subdue the One Tail all on his lonesome whenever it escaped. It's actually one of my favorite Kekkei Genkai, but that could be because of my own personality. Unlike Anakin Skywalker, I like sand. Sharingan. The Sharingan is the personal Kekkei Genkai of the Uchiha clan. It isn't exactly common among them, but that also means it isn't uncommon either. Being derived from the Rinnegan, it would be expected to be powerful. Generally, the awakening of this dojutsu requires its user to possess a reason to do so, and thus it's usually determination or great need that awakens it. It tends to awaken only with 1 tomoe, but further training and moments of intense emotional development may see it awaken up to 3 tomoe per eye. The Sharingan grants its user incredible genjutsu prowess cast through eye contact. Alongside this, the user demonstrates resistance to genjutsu with this eye. The dojutsu can be further awakened. Mangekyo Sharingan. The Mangekyo Sharingan is the awakened form of the Sharingan. It allows the user to manifest a dojutsu whose tomoe are different compared to the previous form. A new pattern awakens that designates the user has awakened this dojutsu. This dojutsu can only be awakened when great hatred, generally from loss, has been achieved, though it could also be awakened, it seems, through watching someone you care about go through incredible suffering. So theoretically, it's not exactly hatred that awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan, but intense feelings of sadness brought on by pure love. This dojutsu possesses many great abilities, among which include the undying black flames of Amaterasu, Tsukiyomi, and Kamui. Each eye can awaken one special technique that can range from things previously awakened by other users, to even new techniques or takes on techniques never before seen. Besides the 2 special techniques, the Mangekyo Sharingan also possesses a shared ability that, once awakened, remains awakened, even if the user no longer retains sight in their Sharingan, or even any Sharingan at all. This ability is called Susanoo, and it's manifested as a massive chakra avatar that can be the size of a tailed beast. It rarely is awakened in its perfected state by anyone unless they possess 6 Paths chakra, or are the progenitor of the Sharingan themselves, canonically Indra Otsutsuki. That's not to say Six Paths Chakra is required, just that it's not been awakened in its perfected form canonically by anyone except those who have attained Six Paths Chakra. The Mangekyou Sharingan is considered so powerful that it actually seals its own power away. Overuse will result in the loss of sight from the eye forever, and the loss of most of its powers save Susanoo more than likely. However, there is a way to overcome this weakness. That would be transplanting into your own head the Mangekyou Sharingan of someone related to you by blood. Doing this will reform your Mangekyou Sharingan into a variation that won't go blind from overuse called the Eternal Mangekyou Sharingan. Despite the new name, however, there is nothing really changing its abilities save the removal of its only limitation, as well as a slight change in the shape of the design. Mud Release. Mud Release is the lesser talked about, less cool younger brother of Wood Release. Despite there being no apparent similarities besides the fact both Kekkei Genkai use the same nature transformations and I guess the fact that trees grow in dirt, Mud Release is relatively unknown. The most it was ever really used for was to cake the Valley of Lies in mud. It's so rare that Hidan was surprised it existed. It didn't exist for long though, as its user was later killed by Hidan as a sacrifice to Jashin. Sadly, its only shown user was a Jashin cult convert who used his Kekkei Genkai to murder a lot of people, causing a landslide into Shangri-La. So while powerful in its own right, it just isn't that notable and was mostly used by an evil dude. So, Renmaru's Kekkei Genkai. Renmaru's Kekkei Genkai is a specific dojutsu created by a boy of the same name. Renmaru's dojutsu takes the shape of a glowing red iris. It allows Renmaru to have the ability to see things closely in a way not too dissimilar from a Byakugan. It even was specifically mentioned as being similar to a Byakugan. Despite these things, the dojutsu also allows the user to cast genjutsu and even mask one's own chakra pathway system. It seems to be a perfect counter to the Byakugan and almost seems like a perfect mix between the Byakugan and the Sharingan. Funnily enough, it also matches the description of the Ketsuryugan from Sasuke Shinden Book of Bright Sunrise. Despite that, no connection was ever made, and the anime was sure to make sure that there is a definable difference in shape and color. Rinha Clan Kekkei Genkai. The Rinha clan possessed a special Kekkei Genkai that allowed them to not only absorb another person's chakra, but also to replicate it and the appearance of one whose chakra they absorbed. Despite this, there's not much that I know about this Kekkei Genkai because sadly it's not seen anywhere in the manga, anime, or even movies. Instead, it's exclusive to a video game I do not own. So I guess that's all I have to say on the matter. The Rinnegan. This dojutsu is by far the greatest of all dojutsu, as it is the progenitor of the Sharingan line. The Rinnegan itself appears to have been originated by the Rinne Sharingan, though the extent of this is unknown. The difference between the two technically isn't known to me, as the Rinne Sharingan has the exact same level of abilities as the Rinnegan. Furthermore, the Rinnegan has the ability to counter the Infinite Tsukiyomi and release it. On top of that, the Rinnegan can also possess Tomoe within it, like the Rinne Sharingan. But despite that, the Rinne Sharingan appears to be the only one that can cast the Infinite Tsukiyomi regardless of Tailed Beast power. How it was awakened from a chakra fruit when chakra fruits normally only awaken Rinnegan is unknown. It's further unknown how a chakra fruit could be formed from the 10 tails on Earth without killing the planet. Unlike other planets, Earth really just must be something special. No wonder the Otsutsuki keep attacking it. I could talk about the Rinnegan for ages, but we don't have that much time to linger on it. Basically, it possesses power called the 6 paths. These 6 paths are the human path, which allows soul manipulation, the Preta path, which allows chakra absorption, the animal path, which allows for summoning techniques, the Ashura path, which allows for technopathic manipulation and transmutation within your own body, the Naraka path, which offers use of the King of Hell, which can be used to manipulate souls further and even heal bodies. Then there's the most well-known path, the Diva path, which gives control over attracting and repulsing forces. These 6 paths are all coupled together under a hidden 7th path, the Outer path, which is always represented by the main holder of the Rinnegan and cannot be passed on to a body under control of the holder, because the holder must use the Outer path to control the dead bodies used to house the other 6. The Outer path can further summon the Ghetto statue, also known as the demonic statue of the Outer path, and can be used to blur the line between life and death, even bringing the dead back to life at the cost of one's own life. And if that weren't broken enough, you also get one unique ability that's just yours. And while you can trade Rinnegan to others, the transplantee will never be able to use the Rinnegan to its fullest potential, meaning that while they can use the 6th and even 7th paths, they can't exactly use that secret technique. Ryuzetsu's Kekkei Genkai. This Kekkei Genkai allows the user to perform a type of revival technique called the Dragon Life Reincarnation Technique. This technique can only be used once though, as after you do it, you die. This is somewhat of a redundant technique, as there are other techniques of a similar vein. The Rinnegan has the Samsara of Heavenly Life technique, which, like this, revives at the expense of the user's own life. But even among those without Kekkei Genkai, it can be replicated via the One's Own Life Reincarnation, the same that Chiyo used to revive Gaara. So if even a non-Kekkei Genkai user can replicate the technique and its effects easily, as is a similar case with Ice Release, I consider it a redundant Kekkei Genkai. Sorry, Ryuzetsu. Sakon and Ukon's Kekkei Genkai. Remember these Siamese twins of the sound 4? Well, as it turns out, this was a Kekkei Genkai, though I'm sure you've figured that out just by watching them. This ability allows the user to merge with another on a cellular level, allowing 2 people to become 1, and even form extra limbs when in need. It also allows for some form of regeneration and can be used to merge with other people as well, and even rip them apart from the inside. The only downside is that if the person you invade decides they really want to make you pay the toll for killing them, they can choose to mortally wound themselves, which in turn mortally wounds you. Scorch Release. Scorch Release is what happens when you mix fire and wind releases together. These 2 releases were once brought together by Sasuke and Naruto, who mixed their primary nature techniques together with each other. However, it was also used by a single person named Pakura of Tsunagakure, who used this ability to form a heat-based attack that could dry all the water from the surrounding area, including within a person's body.
What?
Oddly enough, this type is weak to water. I guess evaporation has its limits. Senrigan. This dojutsu was one inherited by the cybernetic organism Ada, who used it after having the DNA of Shibai Otsutsuki placed into her. Unlike Kashin Koji, whose own inherited Kekkei Genkai allowed him to view not only the future, but all possible futures, the Senrigan allows Ada to see any moment in the past up to the moment of her birth, all the way to the current moment. Further, this ability appears to be able to cast a constant active genjutsu called Omnipotence that allows her to alter the memories of whoever is caught under it, to which the scale of the technique is planetary, to believe the false memories planted. And as an added layer of defense against the breaking of this technique, should discrepancies with the memories crop up, as time passes, these discrepancies begin to matter less and less, essentially lulling the user into a state of submission to which even if they know something is wrong, they'll be unable to care. This technique appears to be what allows Ada to charm her victims into the inability to attack her. For Ada, this is involuntary, though likely this is not the same for Shibai. Shikotsumyaku. This Kekkei Genkai was displayed by members of the Kaguya clan, most famously Kimimaro. This Kekkei Genkai allows the user to control calcium within their bones to both form and manipulate their own bones, generally into the shape of a weapon to use. This Kekkei Genkai appears to be descended from Kaguya Otsutsuki's ability All-Killing Ash Bones, in which she could form and manipulate her bones to fire projectiles that would pierce and turn any struck by them to ash. This technique made the Kaguya clan fierce, and with it they became battle-mad, which led to them waging war on other clans. In the end though, their own craze for battle led to their eventual destruction, leaving Kimimaro the only survivor. After the death of Kimimaro, the clan, and by extension their Kekkei Genkai, is now extinct. Steel Release. Steel Release is a Kekkei Genkai comprised of unknown chakra natures that allows the user to both form and manipulate steel from their bodies and the surrounding area. It was seen in various pieces of media, including Gaara Hiden and Sasuke Shinden. It was further witnessed as a Kekkei Genkai that was stolen by Hideko during the Will of Fire movie. It can be used to make the user's body as hard and as indestructible as steel. Thankfully, Zoro doesn't exist in the Naruto universe. Storm Release. Storm Release is a Kekkei Genkai formed of water and lightning release. This Kekkei Genkai was formed in Kumogakure and creates blasts of powerful lightning that flow like water. In the movie Will of Fire, Hideko steals a form of this that creates an actual storm cloud, which is an unusual usage of Storm Release. Swift Release. Currently a technique only displayed by one character. If you said Hideko from Will of Fire, then I assume you're getting the pattern here. But of course, it would be Hideko. His entire movie is about stealing Kekkei Genkai, so maybe this video should be dedicated to him, not Orochimaru. Anyway, the nature combination of this technique is unknown, but whatever it is, it increases speed to the point that taijutsu users who have trained their bodies to reach insane speeds can't even react to it. Makes me wonder though, can it really outspeed Minato even if he doesn't use Flying Raijin? Tensaigan. The Tensaigan is the Rinnegan's baby brother, probably literally. As Hagoromo possessed the Rinnegan, it's speculated that Hamada possessed the Tensaigan. The Tensaigan is a dojutsu of a similar name to the vessel used by the Moon Clan. It possesses the ability to manipulate gravitational forces, not too unlike the Diva Path, though this seems to be of a greater degree, closer to that of the Six Paths Chibaku Tensei, as it could be used to tear the moon apart and fling it back at Earth. Besides the powers displayed that way, it's theorized that it also has the ability to mind control and even grant life to inanimate objects, such as puppets and moon rocks, to create golems. What we do know about it is that it grants Toneri his own chakra mode, which appears to mimic the Six Paths Sage mode that Naruto possesses, and the ability the Rinnegan does not possess. Like Sage mode, the user gets markings around their eyes, and like Naruto's Six Paths variant, the user gains the ability to form and use Truth Seeker orbs. So while it may not have as many hacks abilities as the Rinnegan, it keeps with the spirit of Six Paths and the Byakugan, its two component parts, by focusing closer on taijutsu than anything else. Rinnegan's still cooler though. Typhoon Release. This Kekkei Genkai appears to be comprised of nothing more than Wind Release, and like Blaze Release, seems to simply be the empowerment of its own nature transformation. Used only by Nawaki, it can be used to form two known techniques: Typhoon Release Consecutive Bursting Strong Winds, and Typhoon Release Great Consecutive Bursting Extreme Winds. Both techniques create a powerful vortex of wind that can reach the size of a small island. Yanaru's Kekkei Genkai. This Kekkei Genkai is used by Yanaru. If any of you know about shadow clones, there's a bit of an ability in which all the information that is learned by one shadow clone gets passed back to the original user upon the dispersal of said clone. This was how Naruto formed the Rasen Shuriken so quickly. Well, this Kekkei Genkai allows the user to do that without dispersing the shadow clone, and even allows them to transmit information back to the clone from a distance. It allowed the titular character, Yanaru, to better coordinate his shadow clone for assassinations. Wood Release. Wood Release is one of the most well-known nature transformations. It uses a mixture of earth and water release, similar to Mud Release, but like 1,000 times cooler. This release, while seeming like any other release, is completely busted, and appears to be the nature transformation utilized predominantly by the Ten-Tails. This nature transformation, when used by someone with large enough chakra reserves, can be used to form massive constructs, such as true several thousand hands, and even wood dragon and wood human. It also allows the user to control tailed beasts and their Jinchuriki with the technique Hokage-style 60-year-old technique Kakuan entering society with bliss-bringing hands. This technique is not known to originate naturally in anyone save for the Ten-Tails, as well as two randos, one you might remember, Hashirama Senju. What his connection is to the Ten-Tails that allowed him to do this, if there even is a connection, is unknown, but I surmise it likely had to do with his status as an Ashura incarnation. Now, if only we had an explanation for Moegi. Dust Release. Technically not a Kekkei Genkai, it's called a Kekkei Tota. It's an advanced form of Kekkei Genkai, but it's really only got one subject within its list, and that would be Dust Release, aka Particle Style. Given that there's no way I could make a whole video out of it with just Particle Style, I thought it would be best to add it here. Not to mention, it's cool, like having your own personal nuclear weapon in a snow globe. Often used by the Tsuchikage, it was used by Onoki and Mu, though also it's been used by Kako and Ku, both of whom were unnatural fabricated humans. This Kekkei Tota is formed of earth, wind, and fire release. The destructive capacity of dust release is so great that it can destroy pretty much any object down to the molecular level. It's taxing to use, but users of it are among the most formidable opponents. It's said that the only person who can beat a dust release user is another dust release user. The user, with their hands, forms a three-dimensional object out of their own chakra, such as a cone or cube. Inside of the object is a glowing core that is made of the three mixed chakra natures. For all intents and purposes, it's the dust in the dust release. This stuff is basically the Hawkeye of the Naruto world and just evaporates anything it comes into contact with. I could go deeper into Kekkei Mora, but I think I'll stop it here. I already gave you an extra goodie with dust release. If you want to see more about Kekkei Moras, let me know in the comments below and maybe I'll make a follow-up video. A special thanks to the Naruto fandom wiki for helping me keep my facts straight and my list linear. Be sure to leave a comment down below to let us know what your favorite Kekkei Genkai is and why. Be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified about other videos like this when they drop, and while you're at it, check out these other videos from our channel. Until next time, peace out.